Bears fans? Another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Pat the Designer, John Jurko back in the building. Good kid, how you feeling? A little golf last weekend?
Yeah, just a little bit of golf.
Golf?
No sun, chilly weather's out in
that's not
Scottsdale. About 55 and rainy for the first 2 days we were there. We didn't see the sun till Sunday.
Worse weather than here?
So, yes, worse weather than here.
Oh, man.
It's a rarity. It's a rarity out there, but you're going to get that every once in a while. We happen to catch it. And I've been to Scottsdale 10, 12 times. I've only seen rain once. So to see rain 2 straight days and it affect the golf and really kind of make golf miserable, which is hard to do.
Yeah.
But I'm going to Scotland later this year, and I hear in the end of June, beginning of July, it can get quite miserable out there. So it'll be interesting. The 8-9 days that we're there, how much misery we're actually going to have.
What do you do when the rain comes? You just play through it. You just fight through it.
You got an umbrella and you got rainwear. You got rain gear. We all have rain gear. We'll take it out. You put the pants on. You put the jacket on, and you do the best you can.
You fight through.
A lot of guys got gloves that they say will keep the grips dry. They don't. Your hands are going to be sliding all over the place. You have a good towel, good caddy. Because we're going to have caddies on 8 of 9 rounds out there.
Okay.
So you got a good caddy. He knows what the hell he's doing. You'll be in pretty good shape.
No clubs slipping out of the hands in Scottsdale.
The most important thing that you need, like when you're in Scotland in that situation, is to keep your initial layer dry. So if you see it coming or it's predicted or something, have it on and don't be trying to scramble and put it on while monsoon's coming down.
I got you.
Because then you're going to be you'll be covering the rain. The rain gear will be covering already drenched body.
Oh yeah,
that's no good.
I've been there. Working in that construction world, sometimes you just get hit by
it's a lonely world.
Cloud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just like, oh well, I guess I'm soaked today.
It is
because now it's always worse when you put the rain gear on because then you start getting a little humid inside the rain gear.
Oh, yeah.
Man, it's not fun.
I've been there
it's not
before.
fun. We got to talk about little Chicago Bears here. And what did they actually answer in the offseason? Did they answer their biggest question leaving the season? And what are still questions that remain? And EO going to chime in. He's got a salary cap question for us. So all that and more in today's episode of the Chicago Bears podcast. Do want to let you guys know Chicago Bears podcast is brought to you by the Advantage Dealer Group. Find your next Chevy, Toyota, or Acura and drive off in under 60 minutes or they'll make your first car payment. Also brought to you by the Hard Rock Casino of Northern Indiana, located 30 minutes from Soldier Field, I-80-94. We're brought to you by a plethora of people here now, Jurko.
Mitch Lyons Wealth.
There you go.
MitchLyonsWealth.com. It's the game plan for your retirement. And let's take a look at what we see in the stock market right now. A lot of volatility, a little market correction. You go from 44,700 down to about 40,600. Any correction of 10% or more is called a market correction. If you want to protect yourself from the volatility of the stock market, you need to have a game plan for retirement. And the closer you get to that retirement age, the better that game plan needs to be. All right. So use your brains, MitchLyonsWealth.com. Let him get you set up in a wonderful program to get you set for that big game plan for retirement. MitchLyonsWealth.com. Avoid the volatility.
Mitch Lyons answering questions for people all over the place. The Bears answering some questions here, Jurko, with how the offseason has gone. Actually, I don't know. Have you been here since we've acquired the free agents? I don't think we've had you on the show.
I don't know if we've been on the show.
I don't think we've had you on the Chicago Bears podcast. You've been on the radio.
But if I've been here, and usually it's on a Friday, but last week I took the vacation, so it would have been 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I think we did talk about some of the acquisitions. Either way, what they answered, they've got their interior 3 set. Tevin Jenkins is still not signed with the football team.
A little backup action possibly for some Tevin Jenkins?
As of tomorrow, no. If you're going to do that, you're going to back up somewhere else. You're going to compete for a starting position somewhere else. Tevin Jenkins is not coming back to Chicago. He wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't think he'd do that.
I wouldn't think that he would do that. So the interior 3 are taken care of. You still got a problem at left tackle. People tell you Braxton Jones is a guy that can play left tackle. You can put him out there. At that point, he's your weakest link. That's what he is.
Yeah.
He's your weakest link. You could play him. Could you get away with it? Possibly, yes. But you haven't addressed that. They have addressed the third wide receiver situation. by bringing the kid from Washington in, Zacharias. Is that his name?
Olamide Zacchaeus.
Yeah,
Olamide.
whatever. Because what is he?
Yeah.
Right? We're in the ballpark.
Yeah.
Zacharias is in there. He's your slot guy. He's going to compete for that slot position, so that's good. So you took care of that. You brought in Grady Jarrett, veteran player. I don't know if he's going to see all 3 years of his contract, but this is a guy who's a defensive tackle of some ilk.
Yeah.
This guy that knows what he's doing.
Bring some je ne sais quoi to that room.
Yeah. You overpaid a guy from Indianapolis, and maybe that's what the market was for the individual, but you overpaid for a guy that has had an 8-sack season. Maybe you get him in here. Maybe they see an upside in him. Maybe they see his positional versatility is a plus for him, where he could play defensive end. He could also move down and play at the defensive tackle position. So maybe the positional versatility makes him a little bit more valuable. Fine.
Yeah.
Fine. I don't think you've got a stud. I don't think you got the guy rushing off the corner opposite of Montez Sweat yet. I think you can address that in the draft. And I think that's their plan. Their plan is to address it in the draft. I went and took a look at the rest of the free agents that are available and that are out there. And I just kind of, okay, all right, maybe. We'll see. Maybe somewhere 3-4 weeks down the road, these are all the guys that are going to be tier 2, tier 3 guys. They're going to end up signing 1-year deals or 2-year deals. And that's fine. That's where they find themselves in. So maybe you go pick a veteran defensive backup or something, depending upon what your needs are, or a veteran linebacker that you can come in. But remember what this linebacker position we went over the other day.
Yeah.
You're in nickel and dime probably about 65% of the time. 2 or 3, maybe a little more. Team comes out in 3 wide receivers. You're not playing your base defense. So your third linebacker is out. Your linebackers are important for special teams, but they're not necessarily important to play first, second, and third down, because only one linebacker plays all 3 downs. Sometimes you got 2 linebackers out there, but I'd say that the least amount is 3. I'd say 1 is the most, and having 2 linebackers out there is the second. So the mathematics will tell you that the linebacker position, as long as you've got a couple guys, you should be okay. That's why Jack Sanborn was
expendable.
Yeah. If he's going to get paid, congratulations, you're going to go get paid someplace else. We're just not going to pay you here.
Yeah.
So he went, and I think he went to Dallas.
Got back with Matt Eberflus.
There you go.
Followed him down
Eberflus trusts him.
Yeah.
He knows the defense. Bring the veteran down here. He's not going to have to be coached. He won't be high maintenance. He might be able to help implement the system as you move on. So good for Jack Sanborn. Congratulations go out to him. So they covered the defensive backfield. I think is great. Brisker is the question mark. How long will Brisker be able to last?
Yeah, the concussions are concerns.
It's a legitimate concern.
Yeah.
So how long can he last? So that's the problem you have there. I think you're tight at the corners. I think Gordon is tight.
Yep.
I think you're in pretty good shape. I think there's depth at the defensive backfield position. So that's not a problem. So you've addressed some stuff. It's still your wide receivers are dependent upon your quarterback. Your tight end and your quarterback don't have a great relationship. At least it seems like they don't have a great relationship, because the football wasn't finding its way to the tight end. And the tight end is your best friend. If you're a quarterback, he should be your best friend. Unfortunately, not best friends. I don't know if something happened or didn't happen. I just know he was running routes. He was open. He wasn't getting the football. So to me, that's a chemistry issue right there. So hopefully they can find a way to get that thing solved. And we'll see what the draft does. Listen, you can get players in the draft. We got Kevin Hardy. We got Tony Brackens. We got Aaron Beasley one year. All 3 of them were starting halfway through the year. And all 3 of them were making a big impact.
Yeah.
So that's what you've got to do with the draft. You've got to hit.
Especially with 3 in the top 45.
You've got to do that, yes. You have got to hit in the draft. And where do I think they need to go? I still think they need a left tackle. I still think they need a young pass rusher coming off the edge. And then after that, I think whatever you want to choose would be a luxury. Second round, you want to take a linebacker eventually to replace Tremaine Edmonds? Maybe you should.
Yeah.
You get rid of him, you get young talent at the linebacker position. So, I mean, that'd be a direction that I would go.
I think you brought up a lot of answers that the Bears did find and could find in the draft. Some of the questions that you brought up, though, I do think are interesting. When you talk about Braxton Jones, Braxton has kind of been the big question mark on this offensive line for years because of the lack of ability in pass pro. But the almighty PFF always says that he is a top half of the league tackle. When you look at Braxton's game, do you think that maybe it does become a little better because some of the guys that are brought in seem like just about all the guys that are brought in, not even some of them, seem like they're better in run pro than in pass pro outside of Joe Tooney dictating you're probably going to be running this football a lot, where Braxton is better at?
Well, that's why I'm saying you can get away with it.
Yeah.
You can get away with it. At some point, you're going to pay Darnell.
Yes.
I don't necessarily know if you're going to pay Braxton. And at some point, it will come to that point where, we're here. They're maturing at the same time. What are we going to do? So at what point do you address it? Do you address it this year?
And your hope is you're not this high up in the draft.
Do you address it next year? Do you address it with one of your second-round picks?
Yeah.
What do you do with your first-round pick? Do you get it? Do you go back? Do you acquire more picks? I'm always a fan of that.
I like it at 10 because I think there's a lot of question marks at 10.
Well, and it depends the way it plays out. And it depends. Now everybody's talking about the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart's on the way up, Jurko.
And I don't mind. I
love it because
let him climb.
Top 9.
Let them all go. Let every quarterback, if there's 4 quarterbacks, let them all get drafted with in the first 9 picks. Not a problem. I will not object.
Yeah.
Not one objection going on. That pushes a lot of talent back. And then you might be able to sit at 10 and get a guy that you didn't think you were going to be able to get. Mason Graham maybe falls to you.
Yeah.
The guy that I don't care if he's there or if he is there, you can still trade back, maybe get another pick. The running back from Boise State, Ashton Jeanty. Now somebody's trying to convince the world that he's something special. People out there, pundits. Yeah. Don't believe it and don't buy it. If he ends up going to a team that has got a tremendous offensive line, he will be a success, as will the kid from Iowa, as will the kids from Ohio State. If you get to a situation where you got a quality offensive line, you're going to have success.
Do you believe that the Bears are a team that has a quality enough offensive line and Jeanty's a good enough talent for the Bears to overcome maybe not addressing something in the first round on the offensive line?
I think they've definitely improved their offensive line. So there's been an improvement in their offensive line.
Yeah.
They ran the ball, I think, a couple of years ago.
A lot of Justin Fields, but yes, 2 years ago they were one of
too
the
much.
top teams.
Too much Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Too much Justin Fields, which was probably one of the big problems. But I think they've improved their offensive line. I think they're better. I think your offense coordinator, Ben Johnson, your head coach, I think he's more committed to the run game and more committed to getting in there and popping it. Now, you look at your running backs, you look who you like. If you like somebody in the draft, it'll probably come in the second round, the 72nd pick.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to guess, that's probably where you'll see him take a running back, if they take a running back at all. I always thought Rashkan looked good until Rashkan got a headache and he got a concussion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but when you get a concussion in the league as a running back, you're done.
Especially his kind of running back. I mean, he is a gap scheme runner.
You're done.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit there and give you the sad news, but sometimes the sad news needs to be delivered. Thank you very much. But if you can't get your head out of there and he can't get his head out of there, it's just going to be a concussion after concussion after concussion, which concerns me about Brisker back there too. So I like Brisker as a player.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, I don't need to have Eddie Jackson post-injury back there again. You remember what I'm talking about.
Well,
Eddie Jackson pre-injury was phenomenal. His second year was phenomenal.
Ball hawk.
Post-injury,
not so
much.
It's a different situation from the sense that Eddie, what was it, a knee injury for Eddie?
Shoulder
injury. He lost a lot of the mobility and what he was.
Not mobility. He lost the willingness to hit and get the arm out there. That's what happened.
Oh, you think Brisker might be a candidate to lose a little bit of the boom?
Well, I mean, that's the problem because you've got to approach things differently.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, you can't lower your head anymore. You've got to come in there at a good level and you got to be able to throw a shoulder in there. And that's where you're going to be.
Yeah.
And it still doesn't guarantee that you're not going to bump your head in there.
Well, and I think that's what happened to him this season. I mean,
The fact that he was gone, so whatever they said,
yeah.
whatever it was, the fact that he never came back, it was 11 games. It's 3 months. That's a long time.
Now listen.
A long time.
Call me speculation Pat out here. But I follow Jaquan Brisker on Twitter, and he's always a great follow. And while the Matt Eberflus situation was happening, there was a lot of tweets about, you got to raise your head, Slime. They're gonna cut your head off when you don't want to be out there. This is not gonna go the way you think it's gonna go. And the second that he was officially fired, he sent a tweet out, and I believe what it said was, I may be misquoting this, but I believe what it said was, "I'm back on the grass." And so the second I saw it, I was like, was there a coach sitting there kind of just going, "Yeah, you're not healthy. You just stay over there. We don't need you."
Well, what'd that mean? I'm back on the grass. He never played.
Well, I wondered if that was kind of he was being held out by one of the coaches that was in the building. That was keeping him at bay.
Eberflus is gone. Yeah. Why didn't he play?
Yeah. Yeah,
so whatever. I don't care what he said.
Yeah.
I don't care what he wrote. The fact of the matter is he was never there.
Yeah.
Now you've got to deal with it. Now you got to figure out what's going to be. He's a guy that's going to be due a contract.
He is. He's getting the bag, yeah.
Right. So if he can't change his game, you're going to have a problem there too.
Yeah.
So that's it. Just a recognition of the fact that it's problematic. That's all.
It is a question.
So Kyler Gordon gets paid.
Yeah.
Jalen Johnson's already get paid.
Yeah.
Our guy has got a Tyreek.
Tyreek got to get it right.
He's got to prove it to him. And guess what? He put himself in that position.
Yes.
There's nobody to blame for Tyreek Stevenson's situation but Tyreek Stevenson.
Yes.
You put yourself there, only you can get yourself out. New coaching staff, new lease on life. But Ryan Poles is still the same guy. He picked you. And he saw what he saw last year, too. So, and you're not Velus Jones. He doesn't necessarily love you. You don't get the Velus Jones type love.
Jurko's still in the league.
Velus Jones kind of love out of Ryan Poles. He never loved the player more than Velus Jones. In his life. In his life, he hadn't loved the guy the way he loved Velus Jones. Unbelievable.
Velus back with the Saints, good kid. He's still in the league. Yeah, got re-signed with the Saints.
I know what's going to happen. First kickoff return.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Right back to the other team.
Yeah, that was
that guy's game I compared to Trinity Rodman. She kicks the ball all over the field, so does he. There you go.
Velus was a tough moment. That was the bane of my existence.
Well, the tough moment became when they captured on film
consistently
that there was somebody foolish enough to come out there and say, "Hey, we'll give you a draft choice for him."
Yeah.
And it wasn't high enough for Ryan Poles.
Yeah.
Why? Because he wasn't all out of love. He's so lost without Velus Jones. The man loved Velus Jones. I don't know what it was.
Listen, that was always my biggest question mark. And it is the reason why I think a lot of guys probably who Ryan Poles did bring in will get re-signed. The good thing is most of them have been DBs that actually have been pretty good players for Ryan Poles.
Got no problem
about the re-signs.
Somebody's got an eye for defensive backs in that organization, and whoever it is, do not let him go.
Give that guy a raise.
Because they got some depth there, that's for sure.
And I do wonder now, and you mentioned the linebacker position. I do think that's a question. Tremaine Edmonds, of course, has been underwhelming on his contract.
He hasn't played up to his contract
at all.
He hasn't. No.
But you said something very early on in this podcast when they signed Tremaine Edmonds, when they signed TJ Edwards, and it was that if you don't fix the defensive line, these linebackers are going to be fighting for their lives.
Yep.
Do you give Tremaine Edmonds a little bit of like Ryan Poles? It took him 4 years to figure this out.
No.
Unfortunately,
no. And I'm going to tell you why. 2 years ago, this defensive line played better, and they played much better against the run.
Mm-hmm.
And Tremaine Edmonds was still not playing up to his contract.
Okay.
So it's not something that just happened last year or the year before. It's something that's been consistent with the way he plays his football. Nobody comes in game plans against the Bears and says, boy, how are we going to stop Tremaine Edmonds? Nobody. There's never been an offensive coordinator that said, wow, we've got ourselves a major problem in the middle here with the way Tremaine Edmonds plays. Nobody's ever said that in the history of the world. Now, they paid him. He was supposed to be the versatile guy. He was supposed to be able to cover people. He was supposed to be able to do this and do that. We haven't necessarily seen it to the level that we want and the consistency that we want, the consistent level of play.
Yeah.
Now, he's popped some interceptions for you.
He had some hot games.
He has.
Last year.
I think he brought one back for an interception.
Yep.
So he's had some, but it hasn't been enough. Okay, you need to operate at a higher level. He doesn't operate at the higher level. He operates at this level, and then he'll give you a pop play every once in a while. But his level is still a little bit too low for how much they pay him, and that's all I'm talking about.
Right.
He's a very good linebacker in the NFL. He's a very good linebacker in the NFL. Every team has a very good linebacker in the NFL. Not every team has an exceptional linebacker in the NFL.
And he's being paid
when you're
like
paying a guy, when they paid him, he was getting paid exceptional money.
Yes.
And he's been not exceptional.
Yeah.
Now, can something happen? Can maybe Dennis Allen and the fellas reinvigorate him and get him excited and maybe put him in a position where he can make some plays? We'll see. You've seen flashes. You haven't seen it in a consistent enough level. So hopefully they can bring it out.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can bring it out. I wouldn't write anybody off. I don't write people off. But all I ask for is more. I need more.
Yeah.
I need the levels here. I need the level just to raise up a little bit. And then give me the splash plays.
It has been a lack of the consistent feeling that Tremaine Edmonds is on the field. In fact, there are times where I go, I forgot Tremaine was on there until his name gets called.
My workhorse is TJ Edwards.
Yes.
And he's the workhorse, and he gets paid like the workhorse. He doesn't get the big money. He gets paid like the workhorse. That's who he is. He comes in, lunch bucket, hard hat. He clocks in, he clocks out. That's what he does. The guy that's supposed to have a little more pizzazz with him, and who's paid 2.5 times as much, hasn't given me enough and hasn't had the level of play that's. Yeah, I'd say TJ Edwards has been the better player.
100%.
So there you go.
Not even a question. I mean, like TJ Edwards is as,
and you wouldn't expect that. You would expect the Tremaine Edmonds to be the better player.
It was what the expectation was. It was what the hope was. And now, I mean,
hopefully Dennis Allen gets it out of him. That's all. Just get it out of him. It's there. It's there. Now you just need to tap into it. He needs to operate. I always called it the precipice of disaster. You got to operate on that edge where disaster is the next step, possibly, but just inside that line.
Yeah,
just inside the precipice of disaster. That's where you got to operate.
Is he having a tough time navigating the precipice? Would be my question to you, because there are a lot of times where he is in on the play.
Yeah.
But he's getting the negative result of the play. Like I've seen him be the guy at the goal line trying to make the stop and getting his hat in there, but falling the wrong direction.
Yeah, I've seen him trailing receivers across the middle. Oh, there's Tremaine Edmonds in coverage, but the guy caught the ball again. So.
Great cover lineman here, John Jurkovic. Covered Jerry Rice a couple times.
Tim Brown.
Tim Brown.
Hall of Famers.
Yeah, taking them out. How many?
Brent Jones.
How many catches were got on you? Only one, right? Jerry got one on
you? Jerry got one. Tim Brown got one on me, but there's not a lot of yak.
Not a lot of yak. Right down.
Not a lot of yak.
Right down. I love it. Before we get out of here, EO did want to present a GM salary cap question. I thought this was pretty interesting. EO, what's going on, my guy?
All right. So my thought is within the last 8 years, the salary cap's gone up almost 30%. But we watched Ryan Poles do that this year. Is it getting easier now to be a GM in the NFL than ever? You can buy yourself out of your mistakes because you know you're going to have more money next year.
So the first salary cap was in 1994, and it was about $34.5 million. It took 12 years for that salary cap to get to $100 million. It took 16 years for that salary cap to get to $200 million.
Yep.
It's going to be 5 years for it to get to
$300 million.
$300 million. And with the new television contracts coming in 2030, with the 18-game schedule coming up, we talked about this yesterday with Andrew. What's his name? Albert Breer.
Andrew Breer, brother of Albert Breer.
Albert Breer we talked to. And I told him, I go, if you take a look, you say 30%. Now that you're at $300 million from 2026, even if you only increase 10, it's 4 years until you're at 400.
Yeah.
With the new television contract coming in, you're going to be at $500 million.
Yep.
$500 million is what this thing is going to be. I predict by the year 2032.
I would
2033 at the very latest.
Yeah.
The salary. So now you're going to have $120 million quarterbacks. Right? That's what they're going to be paid. You're going to have wide receivers that are getting paid $80 million.
Yep.
You're going to have the NFL minimum at that rate probably jump up from 800,000. It would go up to 2.1 million. That'd be the least amount of money a rookie makes coming out in the draft. It's going that way, and it's going that way. Why? The increase in games. You've got the playoff schedule the way it is with a premium on the playoff games.
Extra playoff teams.
You've got Amazon Prime. You've got Netflix that want to come in and bid for the stuff. Fox, ESPN. ESPN got out of the baseball deal because they wanted to have more money to spend on the NFL.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, that's what it is. And it's ancillary broadcasting and the ancillary footage that one can continue to have and operate and put on their websites and put on the highlight shows and all that type of stuff. So ESPN's not going anywhere. Fox doesn't want to go anywhere. CBS lost the package once. They got the package back. They're jumping for joy. NBC's got their package. These guys got their package. Yep. They're traveling all over God's green earth. That's why I say, is it easier? I think when the mistakes happen and they're catastrophic on your football team. That's what ends up happening for you. You're still going to have 20 guys on your team making only $20 million at that point because you got to operate with young guys still being able to come in and play. But that's an inordinate amount of money. And don't forget, when you renegotiate the deals, take care of the veterans and up our pensions, please.
I agree with you. I think it's going to be tougher, one, because everybody's salary cap goes up.
Right.
And two, because you're going to have some teams, and maybe the Bears will be one of the teams that are willing to do this, but some teams that are going to negotiate contracts in the NFL, like how the Dodgers are doing in baseball. When the money gets that high, it's going to say, we're going to pay you this. And when we get to this point, it's going to be ugly, betting on the fact that, hey, the TV money is going to keep going up because new people want TV money.
Well, again, it's not going up for everybody. Not everybody the money's going up for. Live broadcasting that people actually watch is when it starts to go up. So good for the NFL.
Yeah,
good for the NFL.
Is the hands down king in the media world.
Yes.
Here's sports. It's bigger than Hollywood. The NFL is the most advertised on and invested in media things.
But there is a cautionary tale.
Baseball.
No.
Yes. Look at all these RSS and teams are crying broke now because they thought they had it great. Because in the 60s to the 80s, they were everything.
Yeah.
And they didn't predict it to come. No. They thought they were going to grow and grow. And
I have a different cautionary tale.
Uh-oh.
Not necessarily your cautionary tale, but the NFL made its bones on things being free. Mm-hmm. Training camp was free. Everybody could come to training camp.
Yep.
St. Louis Cardinals trained at Eastern Illinois when we were down there, when I was down there from 85 to 89. Before they went to Arizona and started training out there. Neil Lomax, Pat Tilley, E.J. Jr., all those guys were down there. We got to rub shoulders with those guys. You got to talk with those guys.
I was going to say, did you get to practice?
Platteville. No, you couldn't practice against them at all. Platteville, the Bears were accessible.
Yeah.
Those 85 Bears were shaking hands with everybody. You were right there. You were right next to them. They've started to make that inaccessible.
Yes.
They also built their bones on free television, where they had their games were accessed on free television. So it was made available to anybody. All you had to do was turn on the channel on a Sunday, and there it was there for you. Monday night, there it was there for you. Another night, there it was there for you. So they built their bones on free television. At what point, if you start limiting the access on free television and you make everything that you got to pay for it, and you got to have the subscriber, at what point does it hit and ping back on you? So that's the job they've got to do. They've got to figure it out. they've got to have a balance. They've got to make sure that some of the games are still going to be available over the air. So that's what the NFL has to figure out. I'd say be cautious.
Your cautionary tale is valid, and it will happen if the NFL ever gives a streaming service a full season. Because now your Netflix goes from a $24.99 subscription.
$24.99. Try $32. Try $32.
Oh, you'll be at $50 for a full season of the NFL.
No, I'm at $32 now. Your $24.99 doesn't exist. It's $32 right now.
I pay $24, so I don't know.
I don't know what I'm getting.
People?
Yeah, I don't know. I got the movie Craven. Maybe I'm paying extra for Craven.
Craven was solid. I liked Craven.
It was awful.
I liked Craven.
Spider-Man with a lion. I mean, what are we doing?
I mean, that's really what.
Are there any new ideas? Spider-Man with a lion. The lion's blood enters Craven's body. Oh, look at me. No, it's look at what kind of crap are we doing?
That was the story of Craven. That was
What happens when those networkers who have been running in the red for years and have not profited on digital yet?
Yeah.
The only reason they're above water is the NFL. So what if the NFL it's? I think it's more of a network problem than the NFL problem.
Oh, it's not. Listen, it's not an NFL problem until, again, the pendulum swings, all the momentum's on your side.
Yeah.
There it is. And now it starts to come back the other way. You never want that pendulum to hit that apex on the other side. You want to continue your momentum growing, and stop that pendulum from coming the other way. I'm just saying, anybody who's got a business model that's out there that's talking is trying to figure out a way never to get the momentum to stop, keep that momentum going. So the NFL at some point has to look at it and say, well, how do we alienate people? Or is it impossible to alienate people like the McCaskies think? The NFL's king, no matter what they do to their fans, they're still going to stick around. They're going to follow.
That is what I wonder, too, because baseball, you bring up the baseball example. Baseball didn't change with how times changed. Baseball didn't change their game with how times changed. In fact, they literally were like, we're here for the purists. And then the purists died. That's really what happened. The baseball purists died. New people were like, you want me to sit through a 4.5-hour game?
Well, and that's the crazy
of 1-0?
No, but I used to love to sit through a 1-0 game. And then you get older and you got more responsibilities. You got to raise kids. And then all of a sudden you don't have 3.5 hours to sit watching a baseball game. You don't.
Baseball couldn't marry the experience at the ballpark to TV.
Well, listen, boxing has died.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
UFC's probably replaced boxing. Horse racing used to be
the biggest.
Something fantastic with tracks all across the country. That lost its luster.
Yeah.
That has died. Things come into style and then go out of style.
Yeah.
Now, you remember for Super Bowl I, they had to pay people to come out and see the game.
Yeah.
They were paying the stars in Los Angeles to come out and see the game, right? So it wasn't always on top of the game. In 1993, there were still ashtrays welded to the lockers at Green Bay Packers in training camp. We had ashtrays.
Welded is hilarious.
And then
you could only smoke cigarettes back then.
I think if you take a look, it really kind of morphed in the early 90s.
Yeah.
They had the player strike in 87. They had a player strike in 92, I think it was. 91.
92, I think.
Either way, there was player strife. Maybe it was 82, 87.
Yeah.
And then 93 is when they sued in court. They won free agency. Yeah, because I was never part of a work stoppage. It was 87 and 82. And I think the Redskins won both Super Bowls, if I had to guess. But, yeah, I mean, that's what you're looking at. In the mid-90s is when things started to take off. They cleaned the business up.
Yeah. They
cleaned their business up. The drugs that were being taken, the Vicodins that everybody was handing out, the beers that they were passing out at the end of games on the airplane as you guys were going home, all that started to get cleaned up.
You can't have a post-game beer?
Dude, we're doing Vicodin and beers.
Oh, well, that's different. That's a different situation.
I mean,
was gonna say, you can't have a beer post-game?
Yeah, so
I feel like that's a lineman's dream.
Well, not only that, but you were drinking beers on the way back from a game, and then you were getting in your car to drive.
Oh, okay.
So you can imagine the liability issue there.
Yeah,
but that's when they started cleaning it up, and that's when they started to become popular.
Yeah.
That's when they started going. And if not for the uncapped year in 2010 when the economy went to crap, 2010, 2011, that's probably the only time you look where the salaries kind of stagnated.
2020, didn't we go down?
No, well, yeah, but maybe down only because of COVID.
Because of COVID, yes.
And look at the 2010, 2011, 2012,
Yeah.
and look at the incremental increases. They weren't really that high.
Yeah.
So now they went up 25,000 this year from 255 to 280. And before from 255 it was like 225 to 255.
Yeah.
So the increases are really getting up there. And once they go to the 18th game,
I'm telling you, it's coming. And as much as I think it's going to be interesting to see how rosters are built for 18 games, I'm never going to complain about more football. Hey, we got to get up out of here. You've got a radio show to do. Appreciate you guys for tuning in to Show Love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do.
40 minutes.
That's a great question. That was a great question. It sparked a great conversation. Jurko, stay safe out there, my guy. Y'all stay safe out there as well. Peace.